G'day, Bomber fans. What a game of footy that was. That was exciting, it was tough, and it was set for a beautiful, memorable finish. One that I think we really deserved, by the way. In the end, we didn't get there. If Redmond's kicked his sails a metre or two to the right, the narrative would have completely flipped. We'd be having a good weekend, the media would be hyping us up, we'd be happy. But now we're disappointed. We're thinking about what could have been. And it's tough because you want to be happy, but you can't. You can be proud. You can be really proud of the way we played and the effort and the energy. But it just does sting a little bit in the end to not get the win because, as I said, it would have been deserved and it would have been such a good win for the club. But yeah, let's talk about this game of footy. Leave your votes in the comments below. Quarter by quarter recap. The first quarter did not get off to a good start. The Saints got one out of a stoppage in the opening minutes. Naz got the ball inside 50 and the Saints got a goal from it. But then when the game really got going, so did the Bombers. So we applied incredible pressure inside 50 with our kids. The Keys in right and McMahon got us on the board. And then the moment of the quarter came when Jackson Pryor laced out Unwin inside 50 and the debutant converted. And he looked good early, didn't he? So did the Bombers, locking it in the forward half, giving repeat entries. The Saints did steady late, but in the end, at quarter time, we led 20-9. The second started, and unfortunately, as it's been all year, there was another injury. Cooper Sharman got out the back of Jaden Laverty, who came hobbling off. Our only fit key defender was eventually subbed out of the game, which is wild to say. Luckily, Langford and Lual got us on the scoreboard. Lual socketed through an absolute beauty to help us. The Saints would fly back into the contest. They matched our pressure and began to convert. It was 36-35 at halftime. We had most of the play, but the Saints were always going to fight back. The third, you could clearly see what the Saints would try and do. They would set it up on heads inside 50. Their forward line was obviously taller given our injuries, and it got Rowan Marshall a goal. He towered above us. What did the damage after that was moments of brilliance from Wanganeen Miller and Jack Higgins. We did well to defend entries, but those ground level players cooked us a little bit. Thankfully, Perkins popped up for a really good quarter for 2 goals. McMahon bobbed in his second of the game as well. But we trailed at the premiership quarter break. It was 55-61 at 3/4 time. And in the end, it was a bloody thriller of a game. End to end, back and forth, lead changes, massive moments, massive goals. Menzies finally hit the scoreboard in the right way. McMahon got us going, gave us a lead. Sharman and Wood got the Saints clear. Carl Langford got us within a kick in a few minutes left. We were coming hot. We were hard, deep entries, big tackles, crunching hits, huge efforts. Mason Redmond gets the ball 55 metres out, wheels onto his right with, I think, 3 or 4 seconds left, and lets loose. And there is your story and your narrative right there. If it's a metre to the right, everything changes. The way we feel about this game completely changes. But it isn't, you know. He misses. The Saints win by 2 points. What a game of footy, though. I mean, credit to both teams for fighting that out, because it was a dead rubber game. You know, these teams shouldn't have been playing as hard as they were, but it was good, hard footy. 2 inexperienced teams, one more so than the other, and that team ended up winning. So let's talk about the game. Should we be upset, or is this an honourable loss? So for games like this, we have to talk about expectations, because it is really easy for us to forget about how games should play out after they do, especially if we exceed expectations like we did. Like, realistically, I think in the end, we should have won that game. That's the interesting thing about this, is that there was a game to be won and we didn't get the job done. And I think the boys should be really flat. I'm feeling really flat. I think there aren't really many excuses you can make for not winning a game if you're in one as deep as we are. You can't really be happy with the result. Like, you can't say you were happy with the loss, but you can be pleased with the performance. That's the way I feel about this game. I think if you take, close to 20 players out of any team, they probably lose games. We had 18 players unavailable before the match, 2 more injured during the match. I would tip St Kilda to beat Adelaide if you took away, the amount of players that they have, that we've taken out. So every key defender, their main rucks, 5 of their best midfielders. That's not an exaggeration. That's the situation we're in. And if you take that away from any team, they're going to struggle. We are so hopelessly depleted right now, yet we fought out this game and almost got the win. And the frustrating thing is, it would have been such a beautiful victory for the club. Like, I was honestly getting ready to talk about how monumental this win was. The narrative completely shifts if Redmond's kick goes through. We're feeling so good for the weekend. But now, I guess, we're in this uncomfortable position of having to praise a team after a loss. So let's start by saying we should have won that game. And we have to be disappointed that we didn't. But to be feeling that disappointment is beyond what I thought this team, with all the injuries, was capable of. Like, clearly, the boys are fighting the season out, which is impressive. You got to be pretty proud of the kids for that. And hopefully they managed to get a win against Carlton or Gold Coast, because they really do deserve a reward. Even just some of the guys battling through niggles. Like, there are players playing hurt out there. Think about Lawal last week. I was worried for his career with that landing, and now he's back the week after, throwing his body around again. I think it's pretty unreal that the boys are even contending for wins, and I'm proud of that. So yeah, definitely a game we can learn from, and in the future hopefully win, hopefully not make the same mistakes from, but you really do have to be proud of the efforts last night. So what can we take from this game going forward? So let's forget about the result for a second and look solely at the performance. What was there to like and dislike? And I think there was a lot to like. So, and a lot of it is up in the coach's box. So I think Brad Scott put us in an incredible position to win this game of footy. The key to beating St Kilda, which isn't hard for most teams, like it's St Kilda we're up against. But the key to beating them is nullifying the impact of their best players. I said in the preview, you beat Wanganeen Millery, you beat St Kilda, and that is the case for most AFL teams going up against the Saints. Unfortunately, we're a glorified VFL team, but we put ourselves in the position to win this game, which really shouldn't have been the case, and we did that by evening the playing field. So we sent players to Nasai in stoppages, usually McGrath, and yes, Naz had some unreal highlights, but he was actually pretty quiet, and when he was in the defensive half, when he was moved out of the midfield, because he wasn't getting enough of the footy, we sent Jai Menzies to him to keep him pretty quiet. Cal Wilkie is St Kilda's best intercept player. He had 3 for the game. The ball was avoiding him. Matt Guelphy was keeping him busy. So just like that, Scott reduced the skill differential by forcing us to claim scouts. Those players played their roles, and then you had the unrealistic task of matching it at the contest while missing all of our midfielders bar one in Durham. And really, it was just grit and hunger from the players that got us level in those areas. And then on the outside, we controlled the footy more. We kept it away from them. We applied serious heat in our forward line to keep it there, so the Saints were always under pressure, but we did really well to control a lot of this game in open play. And I don't think it's an exaggeration to say we were the better team out there, which again shouldn't be the case. And I think we have to remind ourselves of how bad we are on paper, and for us to be the team in control for most of this game, you got to tip your hat off to Scott, because I think a lot of this game and a lot of the way it played out was because of him and his buddies in the coach's box. And the cool thing is, for me, like, yes, this season has been pretty crappy, but it sucking has given us so many opportunities to fast-track development like we have. So we played good footy last night, which is great. We were right in the contest, but we also had a guy, an onion out there, a skinny onion on debut, who I thought would look out of place. He should look out of place, but he didn't. Like, yes, he faded as the game went out, but that's expected from a baby with no meat on his bones. I loved his hunger and intent early in the game. He showed plenty. This is a guy that I want to persist with now. Lawal, again, his efforts were great. Like, a week after almost being decapitated, he's out there again playing good, hard footy. These guys are not ready for AFL footy at all. Like, they shouldn't be playing right now. If we had a fit list, they wouldn't be playing. Angus Clark, I love him. I think he's going to be a great player in the future, but he is not ready to be playing the amount of footy and the roles he is playing. I'd say there were 13 or 14 players out on the park who still have so much time before they reach their physical peak and become better players and athletes. And the key word there is athletes. That is important, because it doesn't matter how skilled and talented you are. If you are playing against men in a boy's body, you're going to get beaten. And that is half our team right now. Because sometimes the difference between being promising and good is a pre-season. Look at Archie Roberts. He has broken that barrier already. We now expect more from him each game because he is a good player, not a promising one. I don't have him amongst our best last night because he turned the footy over a fair bit. If this was his first game, I'd be talking about him as the next Brownlow medalist. But his expectations have grown because of one pre-season. So think about these games that these kids played and the growth that those players will find from them. Playing footy at such a young age is important because you realise you're not as far off as you think. So next year, Unwin's going to have a bigger frame, Clark's going to have a bigger frame, Caddy, Kako, Johnson, Vigo, all these talented young players will be more developed physically than they are now, which is going to make them better players, and it'll bridge the gap between boys and men, because right now they're boys and they're fighting out games of footy really well, but for them to be getting these experiences and taking these opportunities and not being completely monstered in these games is massive. Jaden Newen's been playing on the best small forwards in the competition in his first 3 games. That should not be the case. Blackiston is a ruckman playing in defence. Kako's playing in the midfield. And so think of the confidence these guys can take knowing that this is the worst they'll ever be, or I guess the least ready they'll ever be. And they're still fighting out games. So I don't know, there are so many players out there that were not ready for this game or their role, but they stepped up to the plate and proved that they are ahead where they should be. And next year when we have availability, these guys are going to have confidence in the VFL, knowing that they can match it at the top level and play footy if required. And that is valuable. We are going to have so many kids next year not playing in the first team that could be. But also, on top of that, guys in our first team that may not have been there if they didn't get this opportunity. Archie Roberts is probably not going to be dropped many times in his career. Caddy, Kako as well. Angus Clark. Now, I think as bad as this year's been, it has shown us that we have so much to work with for the future. And I don't see the need for us to draft certain positions anymore, because you look at our general defence and we've got so many players there, so many young players for the future. Our small forward stocks are building. Our key forward stocks are building. So we're actually building really nicely for the future. We can focus on certain areas, and it's games like this that prove it for me. Yeah, I don't know. I think these games are such valuable experiences, win or loss. A win would have been ideal, but all our babies are going to get better, or sorry, they're going to get bigger next year, which usually indicates they get better. And if these babies can match it against the 11th place team at their least ready, then it means next year with a preseason when they're more ready, they'd be beating them. And then the year after that, they'd be owning them. And that is the way I look at it. Now, look, overall, it is hard not to be disappointed with the way things panned out. You want to be winning games of footy that you can win. And this would have been such a big win for the club. Just to sing the song again before the year ends. And there's also more pain on the injury front. You know, Laverty has a pretty rough corky. Even if he gets up for next week, he's going to be sore. And McMahon got his hand stepped on pretty badly. So we'll see how that is. Fingers crossed for both of them. Yeah, more just bad luck. These are contact-based injuries. Nothing you can do about that. As the kids have been doing all year, it's a next up mentality. They've been doing really well at coping. I genuinely don't think we should be in games of footy right now. I think if you take 20 players out of any team, they're going to be crap, especially big players, important players. So for us to be contending, that is fantastic. And I'm really proud of the boys. I think in a weird way, it's cool to be disappointed about a loss, because that just shouldn't be where we're at right now. But yeah, hard night. Would have been great to get the win. In the end, it wasn't meant to be. I leave this game thinking, yes, we lost, but if you were to pick a team to hedge your bets on for the future out of Essendon and St Kilda, I like what the Saints have. They've got some good young players, but I'm tipping the Bombers. We just look like there is more there for the future. Games like this, for me, give me a lot of hope going forward. So yeah, not the result we wanted, but the performance we wanted. So hopefully they're saving that result for next week against Carlton. Let's get on to the votes. Alrighty, votes. One to Sam Durham. He was fantastic, and especially late in the game. I feel like if we'd won that, we'd be talking him up more. But the next two are the main ones. These guys were terrific. And they're the whipping boys too, so it feels even better seeing them play well. 2 votes to Mason Redmond, 3 votes to Andy McGrath. I mean, Redmond did he get in a time machine? Hop back to 2023. 36 touches, almost 800 metres gained, 9 intercepts. And Andy, I mean, that was just a genuine captain's performance. He led from the front. He was incredible all night. Not only negated Nasai's influence in the guts and forced the Saints to move him back, but he himself had 35, 9 tackles, led us for score involvements, and just the 2 turnovers. So can't criticise him for that. No, both of those guys were unbelievable. Those 2 leaders. And another leader, Carl Langford, he's the role player. Only just returning from injury, and I thought he was really good. Really playing some clever wing footy, kicked a couple of goals, moved really well. That's that. There were a few others. I was close to giving love to Todd Goldstein, who was really good. But yeah, in the end, and also the umpires. For real though, I think just speaking on the umpires, because I haven't touched on them yet. They didn't lose us the game. There were some weird calls, but that didn't lose us the game. I've only ever thought in my whole life watching footy that there was one game where the umpires cost Essendon the win. And I'll let you guys in the comments figure out what game that was. So that's a little homework for you guys. But that's all. Cheers for watching, Bomber fans. I'll have reviews out for the AFLW tomorrow, VFL as well. Lots to come. Cheers for watching. Make sure you like, subscribe, and go Bombers.